Hi, my name is Lisa. I am a speech-language pathologist, aspiring writer, adventurer, avid goal setter, and goal king. And I'm here to help you learn how to set and accomplish your own goals. So if you'd like to learn how to be successful and accomplish your goals, as well as watching me accomplish my own, I encourage you to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and comment down below. Public service announcement. I'm new to this whole content creation thing, so I guarantee you there will be a cringe phase with all of these videos. But I am here to embrace the cringe, and I encourage you to embrace it with me. I've always been one of those people who's been pretty good at setting and accomplishing my own goals, a real reach for the stars kind of person, and I want to help others do the same. So I'm starting this video series to walk through some of the ways I've become so successful at planning and following through on my goals, and hopefully I can help you do the same. Each video I'm going to teach a new strategy or discuss some topics to help get you started on your path to personal success. I'll also incorporate some weekly vlogs and activities that I do to help keep me on my path to success. Today we're going to talk about how to set achievable goals. I actually filmed the version of this video a while ago, but it came out really fuzzy because I had a terrible camera and also was really nervous. So I'm giving it another try and hopefully it goes better this time. So here we go, how to set achievable goals. One big mistake I notice when people set goals is that they aim too high with no plan on how to get there. It's always good to have a long-term goal, but it needs to be achievable. What do I mean when I say achievable? If you're 35 years old and you're sitting on the couch all day and you have no background in math or sciences, the chances of you becoming an astronaut are probably zero. Now, it's not a bad thing to have grand ambitions. Everyone can be a dreamer, but you have to enact small steps on how to get there. So if you're 35 and sitting on the couch all day and you want to do something big like run a marathon, lose 50 pounds, go back to school, get a degree, advance, or change your career, now those are readily achievable goals. So let's get started. How do we go about setting achievable goals? Step one, what is that long-term aspirational goal of yours? I don't tend to set goals that take longer than 5 years. If it's something grand, you'll also need a lot of time to accomplish it. So 3 to 5 years can be a good amount of time to really set a plan into action. Step two, what are 3 or 4 things that you know that you need to do to accomplish that long-term goal? These are your short-term goals. Each of these goals should take you about 6 months to a year, sometimes 2, to finish. Step 3, what are the steps that you are going to take to follow through and complete those short-term goals? Let me give you an example. I'm going to walk you through one of the most recent long-term goals that I accomplished. Back in 2016, I had just returned from Japan, and reverse culture shock is no joke, so I was pretty depressed. The economy was pretty bad, and I couldn't get a job that had the kind of offer that I felt I was being paid what I was worth. And more importantly, I wasn't even sure I wanted to do those jobs that were being offered. In 2011, I graduated with degrees in Japanese studies and business management. And although my Japanese degree really benefited me living and working in Japan as an English teacher, my business degree was more or less useless, seeing as I had graduated during the economic recession, and nobody really wanted to hire me with a 5-year-old business degree. But one thing I really love is science, and I just have always wanted to get a degree in STEM. So with a background in teaching English, I decided I was going to become a speech-language pathologist. By this point, I hadn't been in school for about 6 years, so I was going to have to learn how to study and go to school again. And my long-term goal was to be a speech-language pathologist. Now, in order to become a speech-language pathologist, you need to earn a master's degree in that field. But if you didn't get your undergraduate degree in speech-language pathology, like I didn't, then you have to go into post-bach classes where you take all those courses over 2 to 3 semesters, about 1 year. Knowing this, if I wanted to become a speech-language pathologist, it would take me about 3 years of schooling. However, before I could even get to graduate school, there were a few things I needed to do. I needed to plan out my short-term goals. Grad school was really competitive. You need to have good grades, good GRE scores, letters of recommendation just to get in. You also need these things if you want any sort of financial help to help pay your way through grad school. Lastly, you really need a killer personal statement that really shows your aspirations and what you think you can bring to this program. So here I had my first 4 short-term goals, and I'm going to read them off to you because I can't remember them. So number 1 was get good grades. I'm pretty ambitious, and I wanted to guarantee I was going to be considered by my university of choice. So I was aiming for about a 4.0. Number 2 was to get a good GRE score. So a good GRE score is relative and based basically on where you want to go to school. The average graduate school for this field is looking for about a score of 300, which is completely doable and actually not that high of a score. I didn't have any grand ambitions about attending the top speech pathology schools out there because they're kind of expensive. And I really didn't believe that the name of the school mattered as much as whether or not that program fit you. But if 300 was the average, I really wanted to make sure that I stood out apart from the crowd, so my goal was to get at least a 310. Number 3 was to get 3 letters of recommendation, and number 4 was to write a killer personal statement. Now let's break down what exactly I did to make sure I accomplished these goals. Number 1, get a 4.0 grade point average. Now everyone knows that one student who is smarter than you and who really doesn't need to study and just shows up to class, shows up to tests without their computer or their notebook and just aces their tests. That's not me. I really need to buckle down and I really need to study. So at 28 years old, with all that youthful neuroplasticity out the window, so are my weekends. I had school Monday through Thursday, and on Friday I'd wake up at 8 a.m. so I could be studying from 9 until 5 p.m. every single day. Yes, that's 8 hours of studying. It's like having a full-time job because to me, it basically was my job. And that's not even counting the part-time job I had on top of that. I was dividing up my time and allocating that time towards subjects where I knew I needed the most help. Studying can also be very monotonous, so I really broke up my time between studying, like making flashcards, drawing pictures of anatomy, and also exercising. Exercising is really good for your brain. Not only does it provide a lot of mental rejuvenation, but studies have shown that because of the blood flow that you are increasing towards your brain, it actually helps you with memory retention. I also took it a step further and I actually started eating differently, eating very healthy, like lots of fish and foods full of potassium to help with the memory and to reduce anxiety around test taking. You might be thinking, well, why fish? Well, fish has a lot of fat and your brain's made of fat and your brain just wants to get fatter. Also remember to stay hydrated because you don't want to make the mistake that I did where I was constantly getting migraines because I was forgetting to drink water. Now the GRE. For my second goal of getting at least a 310 on the GRE, I took a practice test to figure out where I was. Now, as I said, getting a 300 is not that hard of a score. It's really doable, and the GRE is not an IQ test, so you can take it and you can study and you can improve. It's actually a test more based on how well you can study for a test. But my practice test was pretty decent, so I felt rather confident going into the GRE. That being said, I had completely forgotten how to do math, so I really needed to relearn that from the beginning. Like, I'm not even joking, like order of operations, no idea what that is. I think I've even forgotten it now. I also had a lot of friends who paid for tutoring, and they paid for like special classes to take the GRE, and like honestly, more power to them if it helped them. I, however, am a person where I don't believe in paying money for things that I can get for free. And you can actually get free apps on your phone that really help. It give you like a GRE question every day. Even the website has like full on like PDF documents that are like 60 pages, or maybe I'm exaggerating, that have like that teach you step by step how to relearn math and how to do things from like basic addition and prime numbers all the way up to statistics. Oh, and trigonometry, which I didn't even bother studying because like I wasn't trying to ace this test. So during those 8-hour study sessions, I made sure I spent 9 a.m. to noon just relearning how to do math. And I did that for, I think it was like 6 weeks? I think that was like 60. Yeah, it was only 6 weeks of relearning math, but like if you know it, it will come back to you. But yeah, eventually I learned how to do like pre-algebra again, regular algebra 1 and 2, and geometry and statistics, and I was good. I stopped there. As for the English section, I honestly just downloaded one of those phone apps and I just did a question a day and that was good enough. Next is letters of recommendation, and honestly getting letters of recommendation is not as hard as you would think. Basically the hardest part is getting up the courage to ask your teachers to write one for you. But you also want to make sure that the person who's writing that letter for you is not sending out one of their generic templates. I found it was always great to establish a relationship with the teacher, make sure they actually know your name. So when you do go up and talk to them and ask them for that letter, you know, they already know something about you and they could put a little personal touch on it. Next is writing a personal statement. So when it comes to personal statements, it's really what is the most interesting thing about you. There is something unique about you, and the school actually does want to know what it is. Typically, a school is looking for a diverse group of people with different backgrounds and experiences. Long story short, really don't be afraid of selling yourself. This is your shot to really say something about yourself and what you have to bring to the table. Don't pass it up just because you're afraid of coming off as not humble. Confidence goes a long way here. Lastly, and probably more importantly, get a second opinion on that essay. Really have someone read it because I cannot tell you how simple grammar errors really make a bad impression. And it's a really easy thing to overlook. So let's review the plan that I made for myself. I set a long-term goal for myself that I could accomplish in a reasonable amount of time, such as 3 years. I identified 3 to 4 short-term goals that I needed to accomplish that long-term goal. Lastly, I identified the steps I needed to take to accomplish those short-term goals. At the end of the day, I did get a 4.0 in the post-bach program. I got the GRE score that I wanted. I got exactly 310, which was pretty wild. I got the letters of recommendation I needed, and I wrote my personal statement. I even ended up getting 2 scholarships from all my hard work and ended up covering some of the cost of grad school, which it's a lot. Grad school's, if you're not going into a STEM field, don't go to grad school. Now, that wasn't the end of it. I wanted to become a speech-language pathologist, not just get into grad school. I still had to suffer through grad school, get an internship, do my clinical fellowship, survive bullying clinical professors. However, the goals that I set for myself prior to grad school really instilled a mentality in me and a work ethic that really helped carry me through those hard times. Today, I am a speech-language pathologist, and I have a whole list of new goals that I can't wait to accomplish. Okay, that's it for today. Please like, subscribe, click the notification bell down below. Let me know what questions you have and what goals you're working on, and also what you'd like to see on this channel. How can I best help you accomplish your goals? Also, I just realized that I said I was the kind of person who liked to reach for the stars, but that you'd never be an astronaut. The point is, you can have dreams, just put the work in.